Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another ladder climbing video on Arena with Ugin rocks. You're gonna see a lot of saltiness from my opponents. Once you drop down that Ugin, most people just lose their minds. Alright guys, and if you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. Also guys, I got a special surprise for you at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into the game footage. Alright guys, so as you can see here, I kept this hand because it looked pretty good to me. It came with 3 lands. I've got a buried treasure to allow for, basically a 4th land drop on turn 3. I'm just basically filling out my lands right here, making sure that I've got enough to cast everything. He hits me for 4. Obviously, that hurt pretty much. However, as you see, I draw into a Adventures End, giving me that extra 2 life, putting me back up to 18. Go for the Ultima, which, by the way, is actually a pretty key card in this deck. So we just kind of wait for him to see if he's going to destroy Ultima here, which it doesn't look like he's going to. No, he doesn't. So now we drop that Ugin. As we see here, Ugin comes out, just starts vanishing Freya. Then, of course, we're going to go ahead and +2 to draw a card and gain 3 life. I'm going to try to swing in here with Ultima so that I can take out his only source of white mana. Alright, my opponent goes ahead and plays another land. Try to get access to white mana again, of course. Equips that Buster Sword. Plays another Freya. Swings at Ugin, and, that was his biggest mistake. Out comes Bahamut, or Bahamut, however you want to say it. Going ahead and destroying the hero token, and instead of gaining 3 life and drawing a card, we're going to go ahead and just get 3 colorless mana to go ahead and play another Solemn Simulacrum. Then, of course, my opponent quits. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into this next match. I keep a 4-land hand here, which actually I end up regretting a little bit later on. Alright, so our opponent's going to start us off with an Abraded Bluffs hitting me for 1. I go ahead and drop in the Adventurers in. And pass the turn, he plays Plains, plays Clay-Fired Bricks. I'm going to go ahead and actually play this Arid Archway. It gives me 2 mana, but it comes in tap, so I got to return this other land. I float the 1 mana for the Fountain Port Bell, grabbing myself another basic land on top of my deck. My opponent plays the War Leader's Call, and it goes back to my turn where I play the Adventurers in yet again, and play a Dragonstorm Globe. Use the 1 mana from the Dragonstorm Globe to go ahead and draw a card from my Fountain Port Bell. Then my opponent does nothing on their turn. Back to me. We go ahead and, after some debate, decide to drop in just the Waste so I can play Ultima yet again. My opponent decides to drop in Archangel Elspeth, then +1 to give him a soldier, and once again, my opponent decides not to take out Ultima. This in turn allows me to produce more mana, which means bigger and better spells, like Sire of the 7 Deathseer. Big Eldrazi, keyword soup. Go ahead and actually swing at Elspeth, making his red-white land just produce colorless. He takes his turn, plays a different Elspeth. Now he can double his token production. And of course, his War Leader's Calls hit me for 1 every time a creature enters the battlefield on his side. So taking it to the face really kind of hurts sometimes. It's okay because I've got the Adventurers in that gives me 2 life, and now I'm going to go ahead and drop in Bahamut. Let's go ahead and kill off the Elspeth that gives him the double tokens, and play a gold pan to get an extra treasure token. We go ahead and swing at the Elspeth yet again. We're ticking down that mana any way we can. He's going to block my big Eldrazi with his two little soldiers. He takes some damage, gains some life back. You know, they've got lifelink. His turn, he's going to go ahead and Sheltered by Ghosts. That's going to get rid of my Bahamut. Then he does it again, targeting that Sire of 7 Deaths. Took 7 life for that, just to gain it all back. My turn, I go ahead and I think about what I'm going to do with the mana that I have. I drop in the Gold Saucer and decide, you know what? I need to draw a card. So, sacrifice the 2 artifacts, draw a card. Ooh, Doubling Season. Yes, that's going to come in handy later. Swing again, taking down that mana again. His turn, he goes and plays another Archangel Elspeth. He's wanting to pump out them tokens any way he can. Swings, hits me, goes back up to 20. It's looking like a dire situation for me, so hey, Bahamut to the rescue. Let's target his Elspeth, and we're going to go for one of the Sheltered by Ghosts. I debate on this one for a minute, but ultimately decide to go for the other one. That's just because of the fact of I get a second Bahamut. And because I get the second Bahamut, he's like, I don't want to play anymore. Alright, now let's get on to the next match. I go ahead and I keep this hand. Obviously, it's got a good hand. It's got 3 lands plus, 2 extra mana drops, pretty much. Waiting on my opponent to pick their hand so that I can go ahead and play. And we're going to go ahead and start off with just a waste. Pass the turn back to the opponent. Let's see here. He drops in a red-white land. Drop in Buried Treasure. Acts as a 3rd land, basically. He Evolving Wilds cracks for a Plains, passes, and back to me. I'll go ahead and drop a waste, play Gold Pan, and we just go ahead and pass turn back to him, because I'm just building up my lands at this point. He plays Paladin's Arms, gets him a little hero token. I go ahead and drop in the Adventurers in, and I'm like, why not? Let's drop in Doubling Season. Which, if you don't know what it does, it actually makes double tokens as well as double counters on anything that comes into the battlefield. So he plays the Samurai's Katana, which gives it the hero token haste and trample. He hits me for 4 or 6 actually. I forgot I was at 22. Go ahead and use the effect of the Buried Treasure to get the Aether Spark out, draw 2 cards. Here he goes ahead and white Orosites my Doubling Season to get rid of it, plays Crystal Fragments, and decides I'm going to swing at the Aether Spark. So I let him. Obviously, I don't really have any backup, so had to let him. But here comes Ultima, going ahead and doubling the land production. And he goes ahead and plays another Crystal Fragments and then proceeds to equip one of them to his Samurai and one of them to his, I think it's a Knight hero. Plays a White Mage's Staff, gets another hero. Sounds like I'm talking about like My Hero or something like that, or Yu-Gi-Oh! However, no, this is Magic the Gathering. And here comes that Ugin. This time he's actually going to drop in with 14 loyalty counters because of Doubling Season. I go ahead and -11 him to Ultimate, and let's search through the deck for a bunch of colorless spells, shall we? Because every time we cast one, I get to exile a colored permanent. Alright, so we start off dropping in the Solemn, get rid of the White Mage's Staff, and then get another waste. Then we're going to go ahead and go for the Crystal Fragments this time, with another Solemn. Oh, there's another waste. Hey, guess what? Did you like number 2? Well, here's number 3. This time he's going to exile the Samurai's Katana, thus making it just a 1/1 hero. And play the 4th one and final one to get another waste, getting rid of the other Crystal Fragments. I drop in Bahamut, getting rid of the Paladin's Arms and go ahead and double pop his heroes for him to just quit. And into the next match. I go ahead and keep this hand. It's got 4 lands. I got the Adventurer's Inn and Arid Archway, my favorite combo. Drop that Adventurer's Inn, gain 2 life. And now my opponent's going to drop that Underground Mortuary and sit here while he surveils. While he's doing this, let's just go ahead and talk about how big this guy's library is. I mean, he's got a bunch of spells in there, I'm sure. That we will more than likely see a lot of them throughout this game. Now, as we're still waiting on this Underground Mortuary surveil, once I finally get to actually go again, I go ahead and decide to play the Gold Saucer. You know, that way I can eventually make some treasure tokens. On his turn, he goes ahead and actually plays a forest, then swamp cycles for the Contaminated Aquifer. And I go ahead and take my turn. On my turn, I decide to actually, instead of going for this Arid Archway right here, drop the Soulstone Sanctuary so I can flip for a treasure token. Get that token and I pass the turn to him. He goes ahead and plays that Contaminated Aquifer and summons an Insidious Fungus. Comes back to my turn. I go ahead and sit here and contemplate for a moment before deciding on Solemn Simulacrum. Go ahead and sack that treasure token to get that 4th mana, you know. And search for wastes, of course. Go ahead and play the Arid Archway. Pop that Adventurer's Inn back to my hand and pass turn to him. He plays the Dismal Backwater, gaining that 1 life. Tithing Blade, which causes me to sack my creature. I'll take it. I mean, I get a draw. So, my turn. I go ahead and ultimately decide on playing the Dragonstorm Globe, then playing another Arid Archway, popping Waste back to my hand. Then decide to try to flip for another treasure token, and fail horribly. Go ahead and pass the turn back to him. He sits here for a second contemplating on his 5th land before ultimately dropping it, then deciding to pop my Dragonstorm Globe, which I inevitably return the favor because I drop in Adventurer's Inn and then drop in that Ugin. Getting rid of the Tithing Blade, proceeding to draw a card and gain 3 life. Pass the turn back to him. He plays a land in Raksha's Bargain, allowing him to get 2 cards into his hand and put the other 2 in the graveyard. Then plays the Unstoppable Slasher. I really dislike that card. However, it's gonna go bye-bye, because I play another Adventurer's Inn and drop in Dragonstorm Globe. Bye-bye! Then go ahead and draw that card again, and let's try to make a treasure token. Hey, there we go. I decided to just go ahead and pass, let him go, and he's going to go ahead and try to fish for some stuff in his deck. It looks like he might have actually found something, though, because he has taken a little while. And I think my suspicions are correct, and yeah, Assassin's Trophy. He's going to kill Ugin. Oh, but that's okay, because it's not long before Ugin comes back with a vengeance. So in the meantime, I just go ahead and activate Soulstone Sanctuary's ability, turning it into a creature, and then decide to play the Aether Spark and attach it to the Soulstone Sanctuary, because why not? Go ahead and try to get another treasure token, fail again, but it proceed to put in the Arid Archway anyways, and play the Fountain Port Bell, not searching for the land because I didn't need it anymore, and drawing an extra card. Aether Spark goes up by 4. He plays the Trigon Predator and brings back Altanak with Zombify. Now here's where things just go crazy though, because I start off with Doubling Season and play the Adventurer's Inn again, then draw 2 cards off the Aether Spark. Ooh, there he is, that Ugin. comes in and goes ahead and uses his ultimate ability to gather up as many colorless things as I can from my deck to slap them on the board for free. Because profit, why not? You know, after I pick out several things, I decided to try to play this Dragonstorm Globe right here, targeting his Predator, and my opponent says no. Alright, that's all the matches I've got for you today. However, if you remember correctly, at the beginning of the video, I said that I got a special surprise for you guys, which is going to be a deck tech for this deck, Ugin Rocks, where I'm going to go over individual cards and how they synergize with each other in the deck. Welcome to the deck tech. Today we're going to start off by going over the individual cards. We're starting off with the Fountain Port Bell. You know, whenever it enters, you may search your library for a basic land, reveal it, put it on the top of your library. Then you can tap one, sacrifice it, and draw a card. Next up, we've got the Buried Treasure, where you can tap it, sacrifice it, add 1 mana of any color, and then its extra ability, you pay 5, exile this card from your graveyard, and discover 5. Great synergy. Gold Pan here allows me to get another treasure token. 2 mana drop treasure tokens all day. Then we got the Dragonstorm Globe. Of course, we're going to need that 1 mana of any color for later on. Which, as you saw in the games, that's for the doubling season. It also synergizes really well with the Bahamut. Of course, Solemn Simulacrum, and it enters, you put a basic land from your library onto the battlefield tapped. When it dies, you draw a card. Aether Spark, really great toolbox card overall. Really comes in handy and works really well with doubling season. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens, like I said, creates twice that many, and if it would put 1 or more counters, puts twice that many. Simple. That's how I get my ultimates on my planeswalkers straight off. Now, speaking of ultimate, or well, Ultima, Origin of Oblivion, it's got flying, and whenever it attacks, you put a blight counter on target land. Now, as long as that land has a blight counter on it, it loses all abilities and just taps for colorless. The secondary ability on him works for me, though, because it makes all the lands I tap for colorless double. Then, of course, we got the Sire 7 Deaths, mandatory Big Eldrazi with keyword soup, as I said. Then, of course, we got the star of our show today, Ugin Eye of the Storms. When you cast a spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. And when you cast a color spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Up next, we've got Bahamut, which, as this saga enters, and after your draw step, you add a lore counter. Sacrifice it after 4. You're really only worried about the first 2 lore counters, which are going to be destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. And now for the lands. First up, we've got Waste. I got 9 of them in there because it's all I really need just to get the access to them. Gold Saucer gets me the treasure tokens, also allows me to draw a card. Soulstone Sanctuary becomes a 3/3 creature with vigilance and all creature types. Stays a creature, by the way. Don't worry about the Hidden Grotto, it's just in there as a placeholder. But up next, we got the Airage Archway, which enters tapped, but it gives you 2 colorless mana. And for the Piece de Resistance, Adventurer's End, that gains 2 life when it enters. So, overall, if you like this deck, let me know, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys more in the future. And if you'll like and subscribe, I can continue doing this. And then you can always visit Kiryuu's Corner anytime you like.